So, the topic for today's podcast is how we got onto the internet. And, some kind of nostalgia stories and, learning about the deeper parts of the internet. What are your experiences with that? Because I know you're a Deviant Art guy, so that's got to be interesting.
Yeah, started Deviant Art around, let's see, it was 8 years ago. So that would be 2008. I was still in high school around that time. And I'm not sure where I found out about DeviantArt. I think it was just from looking at fan art of different animes that I was starting to get into. And I just discovered this site called DeviantArt, and people were posting fan art and original art on there. I was like, oh man, I want to join that site, but I could barely draw, so... it started with just these really bad sketches of just like character designs and concepts, but over time I started to build a pretty decent network of people. Just do a quick shout out actually to this, my good friend Chibi Bat Graphics. She was one of the first people to really watch me and give me critiques and all that. And to this day we're really, really close, good friends.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that is I just made a DeviantArt account today just so I could follow you on there. I don't know, I've never been into the whole DeviantArt thing. Like, I've looked at some fan art on there a little bit, but like the site always seemed kind of like a weird place you're not supposed to go because there's like furries on there and stuff, and it's like, oh, I don't want to go on that website. But I guess if you stay out of the more like weird communities, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but you'll occasionally run into those kinds of people. Not as much, I think, as people on YouTube. They do those cringe, DeviantArt cringe videos. Not as much as that. If you're, smart, know where to look.
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is, like, with DeviantArt or 4chan or any places like this, it's more, like, anonymous than YouTube. Because with YouTube, you have your name attached to your account, more or less. And, you're posting videos on there with or without your voice. So, there's, like, an online presence that you have that, people know who you are, and they'll hold you accountable for things. But it seems like on DeviantArt or like 4chan and places like that, it's more like the Wild West. And as I've grown up, I've always been told, like, yeah, stay away from those places, or not specifically those places, but places like that, because there's weird stuff that goes on there, I gotta say.
Yeah, there is. I remember recently I stumbled onto this one guy. I'm not going to name him, but he posted like hypnotist fetishism. It was like
What?
Girls getting hypnotized and tied up. Yeah, it was weird. And the thing is, he's like this hardcore feminist. So it's like this weird contradiction that he's into this weird, like, not really assault towards women or violence towards women, but it's like subduing them. And it's just one of the many stories you'll find on DeviantArt.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe it's because he's such a feminist that, like, he spends all this time with women and he's not, like, a real feminist. Like, he goes to these, like, women clubs and stuff, and he's trying to do, like, an inside job or something.
Yeah, he seems like a guy who's just looking for a purpose. And I guess that fits his purpose. Because personally, I have no problem with, like, your typical feminist, but it's just like anything, if you take it too far, it just becomes what you see there with our friend, who will not be named.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a problem with, like, the idea of feminism, but people take it way too far, and I mean, it started out as a movement where you're trying to be anti-sexist, but a lot of the people in that movement just started making it sexist, which, you know, I had one person on Facebook very recently telling me, like as an insult, like, oh, well, your parents had a guy child, because we were getting into this argument over some stupid thing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like I was saying, you know, on somebody else's page, I was like, oh yeah, I like extreme metal, and like all of a sudden this person starts calling me like a moron and a fool and stuff, and saying like, well, your parents had a guy child, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, internet. But yeah, DeviantArt. It used to be a pretty good place. People actually gave critiques and took them with, you know, relatively well. Nowadays, it's like you can barely even try to like point out something that's wrong with a person's anatomy or you know, how they their composition, I guess. I'm trying to think of all these art terms because I've actually studied art. Took a couple of drawing classes in college.
Yeah.
Not amazing, but you know, if I actually sat down, I could probably do something of actual quality.
Well, I mean, from the
You know,
drawings,
not a complete Tom Preston.
from the drawings I've seen that you've done, I actually really liked them. Like, you know, you can be really good at drawing, anatomy and stuff, and do the most realistic stuff. But if it doesn't have an interesting art style, it'll usually bore me. Because I'll be reading like a comic that somebody does, and I'm like, yeah, this is really well drawn, but there's nothing interesting about this art style. And so I always try to look for like people who have something interesting about the way they draw. And I don't know, I think you have an interesting art style in that regard. From what I saw on your Deviant Art page, that is.
Thanks. I try to go for a minimalist approach, which doesn't really seem to be kind of the thing that people are into nowadays. They want more realism. You know, they want their big-eyed anime girls, that kind of stuff. And I don't know, it's just try to do something different. Some people, you know, latch onto it, others won't. It used to bother me a lot when I was younger, but now it's just like whatever. I'm doing what I love, so that's cool.
Yeah, and I mean, when people were trying to prove comics as like an art form, they would always try to do like the most realistic and the most deep stories. I think that whole trend started around like the 80s or whatever, when The Watchmen came out, and everybody was trying to make like the Citizen Kane of comics, basically, but they're missing the entire point. You don't need a Citizen Kane of comics. Comics just are art, you know, because it's drawn and there's expression put into it. And if somebody doesn't think comics are art, then I'm not going to sit here and insult their opinion. I'm just going to sit here and insult their intelligence because they're an idiot. Because I mean, you can easily tell, like, there is effort and there is expression put into this, and I really don't know how people can't understand that. But like with comics, everybody just always tries and goes to make the most realistic thing all the time because they want to prove it as an art form. When I mean, if you're just not a total dunce, it just is an art form. And I'm not trying to sound pretentious or anything, but I really just want more, like, stuff that people want in the world. Not so much trying to impress people, just stuff that they would want to read, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like, with, Siskel and Ebert, it was, I think, either Roger Ebert who said something about games not being art, and then a lot of people just kind of flipped it out and were just doing everything they could to, you know, uplift the video game industry and make it into this I don't know, bastion of art. So you see a lot of these indie games that are just trying so hard to be meaningful, but it's just all glitter, no soul.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, with a game like Metal Gear, the newest Metal Gear Solid, which I haven't played, but a lot of people are saying this is the Citizen Kane of gaming we always needed that proves gaming is an art form. It's like, what are you even talking about? Video games have always been an art form, It's just stupid.
I was going to say, I got one of these sets at home and I started playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with it. And after a while, after about a week of this, I would find that every time I had a spare moment, or every time I came home, I was in front of the set playing with these mutant turtles, and it got to the point where it was making me quite unhappy because I was so obsessed with it. And I finally unplugged the machine, and I said, that's it for Nintendo, because it seems to me that it's so hypnotic and so repetitive that it was just not good for my mental health.
Well, the other thing that I think is, once you know how to do it well, what have you got?
Well, actually, and I never did find out how to do it well either.
But, I mean, you know what I'm saying? In other words, so you have a little bit of hand-eye coordination. I mean, that's it.
Big deal.
I mean, big deal. And it was a little frightening to hear the kids saying that they play 2 hours a night or 1 hour a night. That's a hell of a lot of time.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just people being pretentious and...
Yeah, I mean... I have to sit here and think, I have to sit here and think,
You having some technical difficulties?
Oh. There's a bunch of noise going around in the background, because people will never cease to be quiet when I'm giving my profound and pretentious podcasts.
Yeah.
But, see, I always get called, pretentious in the comments and stuff, so I just try to make the most out of it, and I'm like, well, if I'm gonna be called pretentious, I'm gonna act super pretentious, as a self-aware thing, but, just to make people mad. But, let's see, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, the internet. So anyway, have you ever had that experience where just everybody told you that the internet is a bad place, that you shouldn't go because there's going to be weird stuff on there?
Honestly, not really. Maybe from my mom, I guess. She told me to be careful. Someone could hack the computer or something like that. I don't know. But for the most part, I haven't, really been told that I've only heard about stories of, people getting into all sorts of crazy stuff, I don't know, human trafficking, and people getting murdered from answering Craigslist calls or stuff like that. It's just really weird stuff, but nothing anything personal that's happened to me. Well, actually, there was this one thing, but I don't know if it was someone stole my identity or something like that. But they there was this email sent to me, and it was for someone with a name similar to mine, my actual name, and it was for this plane tickets to Pittsburgh. And so I checked it. I did a credit report to see if someone charged my credit or debit card for credit, but it came back. Everything was fine. There was no issue with it. So that could have either been a mistake, I got this guy's email, so we have similar names, or I don't know. Maybe it was some sort of a breaching of my privacy. We'll never know.
Yeah, I mean, with me, I had dial-up before we moved into having satellite internet, but most of the time I wasn't allowed to be on the computer unless, I was gonna watch my brother go on, Newgrounds or something. So I would, sit there and wait all day for these crappy games to load on, Nick.com or something, because I was huge into SpongeBob at the time. So
yeah, or Cartoon Network.
Yeah. So I would just load these games all the time, and like YouTube. Here's the thing: YouTube was the most scary place I could possibly think of, because my mom was constantly telling me like, "Oh, don't go on YouTube because there are going to be weird people on there." And like, oh, well, why am I searching things if I know where I'm going? It's just stuff like that. Is really a lot of like paranoid stuff. Like there's gonna be weird videos on there of like, people crapping into each other's mouths and stuff, and so I was super scared. Like I would always try to be like a good kid, so I would just stay on like nick.com, or if I was going to go to a more weird place, I would just watch my brother go on Newgrounds. That was it. So, like forever, I always had this idea instilled into my mind that the internet was the worst place you could possibly be, and like 99% of men on the internet are child molesters and stuff like that. And like, if you make friends on here, they're all going to kill you. And it was just... always had this in my mind. And it wasn't until, like, even when I started up my first channel, I was scared of these things, so I never showed my face. It took until like February of 2015 when I started up my Outlaw Harvest channel, which is really recently. I still had this mindset where I was like, well, I guess I'll show my face if I ask my mom. So I asked her, and I explained, like, well, if somebody was walking down the street and they saw my face, it's no big deal. So how is this a big deal? I finally figured it out. And so she said, yeah, whatever, I really don't care. I'm going to do my taxes or whatever. So I made that first video. I was really scared, and that's pretty much how I got over that whole thing. Now, I mean, I go on some relatively scary places, like I mean, I go on 4chan sometimes, but I don't go on like B or any like really bad place like that. Like if I want to talk about like an anime that nobody knows about, like I'll mention it on A just very few times. Like I'm still really scared to go to that place, because like I know there are very bad people on there and lots of trolls and stuff. So I mean, I still have that mindset to just stay away from like the darker corners of the internet. Like I mean, I can't even imagine opening up Tor or something and just going on the Onions. Like there's no way I'm gonna do that any day. Like just searching things on Google is kind of scary to me still. And I mean, it's just because I've had this mindset so long that it's just ingrained into my brain, much like a lot of the other rules that I always grew up with when I was little. And I mean, I think it's good to a certain extent, but on the other side, it's just like really, really overly paranoid,
Yeah. Because I remember back in when I was in high school, and 4chan was like this just urban legend of a place like my friends would talk about. And they were like, oh, did you see this on V? Did you see this on A? And I was like, what are you guys talking about? It's like this secret code. And I never really posted anything on 4chan, the original 4chan, but I would just like kind of just lurk and just see these people interact, and they're just so aggressive, and there was like no filter, and it was just crazy. It was like a whole different world out there.
Note your destination, AOL keyword yes. Then click yourself there as fast as your mouse can scurry. It's the only place you can play exclusive Nick games. Interact with your favorite Nick stars. Download something new every week. Only Nick, only on AOL. Log on.
Yeah, and I mean, there is something that is... I will say there's something, like, very unhealthy about 4chan, but there's also something very healthy about it, because you just get out all these things that, if you're a Holocaust denier and you're too scared to admit it to everybody, you just go on there and then say it to everybody and then feel better the next day because you finally got it out. Or if you're just having, like, a terrible day and you want to troll somebody, I guess it's good for that. Like, that's part of the quote-unquote fun
Mhm.
of it, but, I mean, I'm not that kind of person, so I just only go on there, like, very little for, like, good discussions. Like, I don't want to get into any, like, troll battles or something. 'Cause, I mean, I knew this one guy who was, like, really big into 8chan. Back when I used to go to this one school, and he would just like post all this like weird stuff on B, and I would like I mean, seeing like somebody like that in real life, it was kind of like a realization, because I was like, well, you know, if this guy is relatively normal and he does these things, maybe this isn't that bad. Maybe it's not that bad. Still, I never go on there and post things like that, but, I mean, you know, I'm saying, like, maybe these people are just kind of normal guys who need to get this out somehow. So I think that is kind of healthy, but it's also, like, a big, like, dumping ground for, like, NEETs and, like, the mentally ill and stuff, and, like, criminals, I'm sure, which is, you know, obviously not very cool.
Yeah, it really is just like this. I'm not sure how to describe this. Like, you seen Blade Runner, this just like massive city of just people converging together. And you'll get some interesting topics, discussions about, I don't know, physics. And then you'll just get people ranting about the Jews.
Yeah, I mean, I view it as like a cesspool of mediocrity a little bit, just from like my own.
That too. That's better.
Because I mean, it hasn't evolved any. It's just been the exact same thing forever. And I mean, I think I read an article that was like 30 million people go there every day. Some insane number like that. And it's like, yeah, this is just weird. I mean, I think Reddit is
but,
like... Oh, sorry, go on.
You go ahead.
Oh,
yeah, you go on.
I was going to say that I think Reddit is the good version of 4chan, because you actually have an identity on there. It's like, it's rather similar in the same like discussion style of so many different topics, but since you have an actual identity on there, you don't get as much like trolls or just dumb BS. But what were you going to say?
I was just going to say that, while yes, 4chan is just a hive of scum and villainy, it also has its good sides. I mean, like that one Steubenville rape that happened. It was like these two football players, or a football player raped like this girl, and then some 4chan trolls, I don't know, they got his docs and they posted it everywhere and got him busted. So there are good parts of 4chan, but I guess it's not the entire collective itself. It's just a few individuals who are willing to do some sort of good.
Yeah, I mean, well, what I do like is that there are like a lot of like hacktivists on there that have exposed like pedophiles and stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I'm obviously a big supporter of that because they're helping out their community. I mean, I wouldn't want that going down in my neighborhood. But, so anything else you got to say about the internet or your history with it?
Well, if you want to go a little deeper, we can go to the more darker parts of my experiences.
Oh, yes. Give me all the juice.
All right, well, I'm not going to reveal too much for the sake of other people's privacy, but through one of my other friends from Deviant Art, Dragon King Mark, he's actually on YouTube as well, and you can hear him in some of my live streams. He mentioned this one site like a long time ago, like when we were still kind of talking with each other. We talked about Fur Affinity, this one site. And I was like, Fur Affinity, what's that? And I went on there around, I want to say 2010, 2009. And, yeah, it's not Deviant Art, that's for sure. It's like, take Deviant Art, but 80% of that, like, okay, hold on. Like, DeviantArt has, like, porn and erotic art and that kind of stuff. And that's, like, maybe 70 to 80% of the site. Well, not even 80, like, 60%. Fur Affinity would be about 80 to 90% of the erotic art and porn that's on DA. It's really, really bizarre. But that's how a lot of people on there make their money. It's like this whole weird economy based on porn. It's like I just imagine this like weird post-apocalyptic wasteland with like people bartering with erotic art instead of money. And I met some interesting people on there. One of them, let's see. I guess I'll just call him Mr. Jellyfish. I don't know. He drew some art on there, 80 to 90% of it porn, but, you know, who am I to judge? He was a pretty decent guy. We talked about video games, comic books. He was really big into Marvel and Tokusatsu, which is like, you know, Japanese superheroes, like Kamen Rider, Power Rangers, that kind of stuff. And, you know, we slowly became really close friends, but after a while, he asked if I could do some work for him, because we'd also RP, and he liked my writing style. He thought it was really professional, and so for many years I would actually write erotic art, or not erotic art, erotic stories.
Are those
something I don't really talk about?
Do those still exist?
Somewhere on the deeper parts of the web, not the deep web, but the I guess the 8-foot web. I don't know.
Well, boys, it's time to go on a search. And then it's just me, like, going through all these, like, fur pictures and like, all these different, like, furry fanfics, and it's like, oh, I gotta find the one Dee Zee Dog made, so I'm just gonna sit here for the next 2 days scrolling through this website.
Oh, child, please don't destroy your poor virgin mind. I was young, I was foolish. No, but I have no problem with it. You know, if people want to attack me for it, that's fine, whatever. It was a different stage in my life. I was not as confident as I am now. Yeah. I just wanted people to like me. I don't give a shit about any of that.
Yeah, I just gotta ask, how is writing this weird stuff, like, how is that gonna make people like you? Wouldn't that make people hate you? It's like, what was going through your mind?
Well, it would make the wrong people like me, and also I drew a few pictures, but, my god. The anatomy was so awful. But I just wanted to be a part of that community, I guess. I don't know, I was just desperate for attention.
So basically,
but it helped me, I guess, learn.
Oh, go on.
I said, well, it basically just kind of helped me learn that kind of life, I guess, it's just like being an actual performer. It's fleeting. It never really lasts. People will get bored of you and forget.
Yes, so you are a man of many lives, I see. But, see, what was I going to say? So
yes.
Basically, you were desperate for attention or some kind of community or fandom, anybody to talk to you, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Like the teenager mindset, the emo teen who's you know, right.
Yeah, I was like in my early 20s.
Yeah. Oh.
Like 19, 18, 20, around that time.
I was thinking of you as like a 13-year-old or something for some odd reason.
Oh,
I
no.
pictured all of that.
No, I was actually really happy teenager. Like, I wasn't really that emo for a larger portion of my life. I mean, I hung out with some of those guys, but I was actually the more positive out of everyone in that group.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of like how I am, which, or at least that's how I am now. It's not necessarily how I used to be. Like, I used to be, like, all depressed and sad and stuff, and then I just figured out, well, I don't care, and I've never cared ever since. But like, the thing is, when it's weird, like, when you're a teenager, you have this, like, coming of age kind of thing. I've said this on my Twitter before, but, like, teenagers are the bisexuals of childhood. They are, like, just on the fringe of being an adult, but they're also a kid. So they have these kid sensibilities applying to, like, adult things that are happening in their lives, and they're not ready for it. They don't know. So you end up coming with, like, with these weird scenarios where they're like, yeah, I'm totally ready to do this, when they're, like, not ready to do it at all. Or like, yeah, I know everything, when they don't know everything at all. I mean, I'm self-aware enough to know. Like, I'm 14 years old. I'm self-aware enough to know I don't know everything. And I'm not going to know everything. And I see all these kids that are my age saying, like, yeah, I know what I'm going to do with my life, and I know all these things. Like, no, you don't. You don't know anything. No,
I wasn't even sure of that in my 20s.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of annoying and also kind of funny to see, like, ha, you lowly plebeians, I'm so much better. But it's also, like, kind of sad, like, dude, what are you doing with your life? But I guess, every kid or teenager kind of goes through that kind of thing where they just think they know everything, but they really don't. But I don't even know where I was going with that. But, yeah, I mean, and it's like depression, you're very, like, susceptible to that as a teenager because you're just figuring things out. And you got all these new emotions and stuff, and it's dumb, and, like, you're developing and figuring things out. But yeah. So obviously, a lot of them latch on to these, like, furry type things or these fandoms because they're lonely or whatever.
And I guess the reason why I was also wanting to be a part of that, because I realized how a lot of people made a decent amount of money off of it, so I was thinking of actually going professional. Oh, thank God I didn't do that.
You gotta get that AdSense, man.
Yeah. So it wasn't complete just, like, desperation. It was just also this weird sense of, like, using my craft to make money, but for all the wrong reasons. Yeah,
I mean, it's like the thing is I couldn't go into any profession that I wouldn't really want to do, which is a weird thing for a lot of people. Is that if I'm not enjoying my job or like the job that I go into eventually, it's like, what exactly am I doing? It's weird like that, because, I mean, I'd more than happily work at, like, McDonald's or something to eventually get to what I want to do, whatever that is, but, I wouldn't want to spend, like, my entire life just doing the same thing that I don't really want to do, because you're pretty much wasting your whole life if you do that. Or at least I think so. I may change my mind, I don't know. You never know with kids these days, but I mean, like, going professional with your art is cool, and I think everybody who's an artist should do it, but, like, that, unless you're really, really passionate about whatever that furry stuff is, it's not really a good idea, I don't think. And plus, like you said, you lose fame really quickly, with, like, pornography people in particular. Like, they only last about 6 months. And please don't ask how I know this, because I read it in a book, and that's how I know, because I read it in a book.
Oh.
That's my answer always. I read it in a book. And then nobody shakes their head, and nobody looks at me weird. It's like, oh, he read it in a book. That's obviously making him smarter. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
Furry fandoms, one hell of a drug.
Oh, whoops, I died. Dude, that's like the third time this match.
First rule of fur faggotry, you don't recover.
Yeah. Actually, I'm curious, like, how, if I may ask, because I don't want to jump into your personal life or some stupid thing like that, but, like, how, you said that your girlfriend is a furry, like, how is that, like, how much different is it compared to, like, just, like, the more fetishized version of a furry? Because you said she's, like, normal or whatever.
Yeah, she's like, I guess tier 1. I'm like a tier 7. No, I guess tier 5. But she's like in the lighter part of the community, the more marketable, I guess, side of the community.
So
they don't
the
really
people
like
who make money.
Necessarily.
So the people who make money, essentially, for long periods of time at least.
Yeah, it's tier 10. And just tier 1s are just regular people, I guess, who just like the aesthetic, you know? It's been a part of human culture for thousands of years. I mean, look at the hieroglyphs in Egypt. Got people with dog heads, bird heads.
Oh my gosh, I just learned that furries have always been around. I knew there was something weird about those Egyptians, but now I know the truth. But
That's right.
I mean, like, it's like hard talking to somebody who's not like really big into a fandom, but also it's hard talking to someone who's like weird into a fandom. It's weird. Like if I talk to like just like a normie, I hate using that term, but if I talk to just like a normie, it's like I don't know what to say. It's like I'm confused here. But if I am talking to somebody who's like really huge into a fandom and like they're just crazy and autistic about it, it's like I don't know what to say either. So you have to find that neutral ground of being like an interesting person, but also not being like a crazy, insane person that I think is going to kill me. But yeah, and I think that's like the way you're describing her, essentially. I don't want to get too much into your personal life. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and she kind of helped me. No, it's no big deal. We're already really deep in the well, so we might as well just continue. But she kind of helped me get out of, I guess, that side of the fandom. Just kind of realize that, you know, I don't need to be this super famous individual to be happy.
Yeah,
and
that actually sounds really cute.
Yep. BoJack Poodle Horseman.
I don't understand why you need me to like you so much.
I don't need you to like me. It would be fun if you liked me, because then I could prove to myself that my parents were wrong to never support me, because I now earn the admiration of a surrogate authority figure, thus proving I have intrinsic worth, but it's not like it's a big deal or anything. Jeez.
Goes on. My question for you is, I am a good kid, and I like to play, and I like to go to school, but sometimes I get sad. What do you do when you get sad? How do you not be sad? Sincerely, BoJack.
That's a great letter. BoJack? When I was your age, I got sad. A lot. I didn't come from such a great home, but one day I started running, and that seemed to make sense, so then I just kept running. BoJack, when you get sad, you run straight ahead, and you keep running forward no matter what. There are people in your life who are going to try to hold you back, slow you down, but you don't let them. Don't you stop running, and don't you ever look behind you. There's nothing for you behind you. All that exists is what's ahead.
I don't know. Well, at the end of season 3, like, it started to be like, oh, how's this gonna go?
Yeah, it gets better.
Then, yeah, and once you see, like, when he's... Did you see the end of season 3?
No, I haven't started watching season 3 already. I wanted to. I've just kind of been watching all this other stuff like Voltron.
Oh,
and,
yeah, the new Voltron show.
Just
I
busy
gotta talk
stuff.
about that here. But basically, it was like a pretty positive ending, but it was also like really brutal. That's all I'm gonna say. But Yeah, I haven't watched the new Voltron yet.
Yeah.
That show looks really, really good. I heard the people who worked on Legend of Korra worked on it and stuff. It looks so much fun.
Yes, it is. It is really good. Because I watched the original, and, it was okay. It was like my first look into anime, that and Sailor Moon. That was my first. And it was just great to see it just become this whole new entity, but still kind of retain that that whimsy, I guess, of the 70s or 80s version.
Yeah, I didn't know the 70s or 80s version was an anime. I thought it was I thought it was an American show, but I don't know. I haven't watched it in like a bajillion years, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, a lot of those old cartoons were like produced by Japanese companies or co-produced by Japanese companies, like Thundercats. I'm trying to think who else. I remember the first episode of the original TMNT was animated by Toho, I think. I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up and confirm it. But yeah, a lot of those 80s cartoons were technically anime, I guess, to an extent, that they had Japanese production companies behind them.
I really can't wait to read these comments now. but actually, the funny thing is...
This is going to be a train wreck.
Oh, yeah. At least the comments on the last one weren't that bad. I mean, everybody seemed pretty positive. I mean, like, I think I got, like, one message or something that didn't really seem positive, but that wasn't even in the comments. Like, I don't know. But lots of people like to misinterpret jokes and stuff like that. So, I mean, that same person I was talking about before who got all upset over, like, the music I listened to, that exact same person, like, just completely misinterpreted a joke that was obviously sarcasm and said, like, well, why don't you
was
like
it the racial
people...
humor?
No, it wasn't the racial humor. It was on my Twitter. I posted this thing saying, "Oh yeah, teenagers are the bisexuals of childhood." This person like just got completely offended, saying, "Well, why are you so upset that people are proud of their sexual orientation?" And I'm like, "Do you even know what a sarcasm or irony is? Like, this is so obviously tongue-in-cheek. It makes you look like a moron if you couldn't tell that this was a joke." And the stream that I did last night, I basically broke down, like, word for word, in the joke, the reason why it sounded like a joke. Even though this person wasn't there, but it just made me feel good to destroy them. But, it's like, I don't know. Some people are weird, but I was gonna say something. I completely derailed the topic, but oh yeah, Deke, the animation studio Deke actually put one of their studios in Japan because it was cheaper to make animation over there, but they had to pay for outsourcing costs or whatever, like an extra like tax or something. And so they just made their own studio in Japan in addition to the one in America, which was helpful because it saved them a lot of money. And basically, if you don't know who the animation studio Deke are, they worked on like stuff like Inspector Gadget or the Mega Man cartoon.
Captain N.
Sure.
Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, which are super, super cheap looking shows, just terrible animation. But, like, people would associate their name in the industry with, like, Do It Cheap and stuff like that.
Yeah, you know the first instance of outsourcing in media? It was Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Oh, I had no idea. Actually, looking back on the show, that makes a little bit more sense with how limited it looks.
Yep, 1959. They were outsourced to Gamma Productions in Mexico.
Actually, I have a funny Rocky and Bullwinkle story. Back when I was in this one school, do you know what ISS is?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, in-school suspension. So I was in school suspension, and I was sitting there, and I was just like I actually really loved in-school suspension because there were 3 people in there. There were always 3 people. Usually one of them was the same guy every single week. But I used to really love that class because it was so quiet. Nobody would bother me, and I could just work all day or draw because he would let me draw and read. So I got to do 2 things I love. I got to draw and I got to read. I was set. So anyway, I was in here like studying, and it was nice and quiet, and the in-school suspension teacher, bless his heart, he told the girl who was in there, like, oh, if you're done with your work, you can take one of the laptops over there. And previously, he had been talking to her because he would just talk to us at random times because he liked talking, and that was pretty fun. He made it really fun. Like, he'd give us cookies and stuff. It was great. But he was talking to her about Rocky and Bullwinkle because she had never heard of that show. So he tells her, like, oh, yeah, it's this great cartoon I watched when I was growing up, because he was an older gentleman. So when she goes on the computer, he, like, just shows her all of the episodes on YouTube. So she's just sitting there watching Rocky and Bullwinkle the whole time in school suspension. And I'm like, man, this is the life right here. I never want to leave.
Yeah. I remember high school, we would always watch movies like during summer vacation or the start of summer vacation, and we would just constantly be watching Finding Nemo. Like, that was just the one movie I remember watching a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really, like, go to school now. I just do all my work on the computer because I can, work on school at nighttime, which is, like, the time when I'm most active, because I don't have a regular sleep schedule. Sometimes I'll, like, go to sleep at 3 a.m., or sometimes I'll go to sleep at, like, 12 in the afternoon. It's never the same. Never the same. And usually, when I go to sleep, I have to go to sleep just when I'm on the brink of exhaustion. Like, I cannot just sit there and try and sleep, because if I do, I'll just sit there and think the entire night, like, well, what am I going to do tomorrow? Well, what am I going to do the day after that? When am I going to die? Like, all of these things, it's like I don't want to just lay there, so I have to stay busy. I have to do things like play video games, work on a project, work on videos, voice and narration, whatever. So, by the time I'm finally just the most exhausted I can possibly be and just done all of the things, that's when I go to sleep. So my sleep schedule is just all over the place. So that's why I got pulled out of school and just do it online now. And now I am literally the happiest guy because I can just work on school at any time and get all of it done in the matter of 3 hours, and then just work on what I actually care about. And it's great. I can really prioritize my time like that. And that's how I get so many videos out, if you didn't notice by now. But, let's see. But I don't know how I got into that topic. I think I was going to say, like, they used to play a bunch of movies when I was in school, just, like, by the end of the year. We'd just watch movies, or we'd watch it as a reward. But it was always, like, Disney animated stuff was always, like, the big thing, and it always made me really happy, because I was like, we got to watch Beauty and the Beast and stuff, and it was great, and I was the only guy there that was incredibly excited to watch Beauty and the Beast, because that movie is amazing, and I wasn't afraid to say it, but it's like, oh, another princess movie, it's so dumb, and I'm like the guy sitting there like, oh, another princess movie, awesome. I was just always that kind of guy.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Yeah, it is a great movie. It's one of my favorite animated films of all time, because they just take the guy who gets everything, and then they just kind of, like, do a 180 and, like, flop him on his head or whatever. Like, They portray him as like a really the bad guy because of his ego and thinking he's going to get everything, and I love that. That's one of the most relatable things I can see, because I really hate a lot of these people who get an ego because they can just do anything they want because they have money or whatever. And I thought I thought Gaston was a great character because of that. Yeah, it's good school days.
Right. So,
the internet.
I guess that wraps up the internet. I guess on to our next topic about the God King of all lolcows.
Kristen Weston Chandler. Now, what is your experience with this man?
Oh, wow. You sound like it's personal or something, but yeah, no, I heard about him, I think 2006, 2007. I was still in high school, and it was just like this weird vlogs I remember seeing on YouTube about this guy called Chris Chan, and he would just give all this information. And at first I was like, is this a real person? This has to be some sort of a troll or some sort of an act. But no, it was real. Wish it wasn't, but it was real. And he would just give he would give more info than I did about, jerking off into freaking cups and drinking it and using adult diapers even though he didn't need to. And I was like, what is he doing? I kind of felt a little bad for him because he seemed to have something wrong with him, but he brought it onto himself, just going onto a public space and just announcing everything personal.
Yeah, I mean, apparently there's more documentation on Chris Chan than there is on most U.S. presidents. That's how big the community for this guy is.
Oh my gosh. And I believe you.
Yeah, and
I don't know where to start with that guy.
Yeah, I mean, people could send him emails and he would reply to them, because he would just trust all of them. And so he'd get all these emails all the time, and people, and he'd end up replying to them, and that's part of how we got so much information on him. And I believe he's in jail right now and stuff, and it's like, geez, where do we even begin with this? And then there's the whole Sonichu thing, wow, this guy.
Oh, yes, a modern day epic, Sonic Chew.
Yeah, I think Chris Chan in general is a modern day epic. He is a religious experience. He's
a Greek tragedy.
I think he's a religious experience of unproportionate reward. Wow, just the inner machinations of his mind are an enigma.
Oh, don't you mean her mind?
Oh.
Yeah, he's transgendered, apparently.
Yeah, that's a topic right there. Christina Chan.
Yeah, I'm surprised a lot of people didn't go out and actually try to white knight her. And, now that she's transgendered. But that's not the reason people hate her. It's because she's weird. And,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the fact that you have to clarify that that's not the reason people hate her is a problem with society right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I mean, there's so many reasons why you can sit here and hate on Chris Chan, but if you sit here and hate on Chris Chan and he's apparently transgender, it's like, oh, you just hate him because he's proud of his gender. It's like, no. Are you stupid? I can't believe some of these people. It's like, these internet people are pathetic. It's a meme that needs to die, and I hate them all.
Yeah, this whole left versus right thing is kind of I don't know. I think it's good that the left is kind of on blast right now, because for years they've just kind of been seen as these heroes, but now they're getting that taste of reality, I guess. It's like a kid who just got whatever they wanted, and finally someone's telling them no.
Yeah, I mean,
because I don't
look
really
at. Oh, I'm sorry. Go on.
consider myself on the left as an African American gentleman. It's like sacrilege, but I think people just need to think rationally and stop, wasting time with labels.
Yeah, I mean, I don't pick in either side. I'm more of like a middle guy, which people say people in the middle of the road tend to get ran over, which I think it's stupid.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to sit here and pick either side because, frankly, either side, they're both insane. Trump is an insane person, and I mean, what else can be said about them? Everything has been said, and he said many of them himself. If you just listen to them, and Hillary, well, we all already know about her, like all how terrible she is and her corrupt deals and all this Benghazi stuff, and just all these things. And everybody sucks. And I think that it's the best thing to do is just not to vote at all and just go out and be a cool person. Like you can do more instead of voting. You can do more by going out and helping people, going out and donating to a charity. That's doing more than voting for one of those two crooks up there. I guess, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. There's only so much we can do, but, it's something, I guess.
And I didn't know you were an African American. You sound white to me.
Yeah, I get that a lot. Even from, black people.
Face reveal! That's not a horse this time.
No.
I can't take another horseman troll video.
I don't know. We'll see maybe sometime in the future.
Yeah. Let's see. I can't remember what the other topic was going to be about the internet. But, are you one of those guys who used to just go on forums all the time? Because for a while, I was a huge, game facker. I'd just go on game facts all the time, but,
yes.
it's a weird...
Yes. I never posted, I just lurked, though.
Yeah, I mean...
I did have GameSpot account, though, on their forum.
Isn't, GameSpot and GameFAQs, two of the same thing now?
I think, hold on, let me see. There's either a merger or one of them, closed.
Yeah, because whenever I go on GameFAQs to go on the forums, I always see these GameSpot advertisements, excuse me. And I think, I think GameSpot bought them, and then, CNN or somebody else bought GameSpot. So it's just one big conglomerate now.
Yeah. Then apparently they split up for a while, or their forums.
Oh, the GameFAQs forum is still around. I was on there just the other day.
No, I mean, it's still active, but I don't think, GameSpot is, in control of that part of the, business. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, some of the moderators on there are really... Yeah, some of the moderators on there are really, really bad. Because all these people, they make fake accounts and they start trolling the boards. Smaller boards, like the PlayStation 1 board, which I heavily frequent that board. That's one of my favorite boards to go on. Because the community is just so strong with that console. But if you go on, one of the newer console boards, like the freaking Xbox One board, it's trash on there. Just nothing but cancerous trash. That's why I don't go to any of the newer console boards, because I know they're just filled to the brim with people, and most of those people are just complete cancer, and I hate all of them. So I normally hang around the smaller boards that have one moderator, but the moderator is friends with everybody, and everybody is already a cool person. So it's there's a better tightly knit sense of community with those over just the PlayStation 1 and how much we love that console. But with with the Xbox One boards, it's like straight up something out of 4chan. You know, it's an awful place to be.
Yeah.
'Cause I mean, they can't pay any good moderator to sit around there, because how can one person moderate that whole board? They're getting like hundreds and hundreds of posts a day, and I doubt GameSpot has any money, what with like ad block and things like that. Even then, ads online don't make very much money anyway. And it must cost a lot to keep all those like facts and like posts and stuff archived. Definitely a big job to run. Which actually, that's one of the things. The facts on GameFAQs. Have you ever like printed those out?
Yeah, a few times. I think I did one for Killer 7.
Pull the trigger. You really are back. All you gotta do is pull the trigger. How convincing.
That's a good game.
Oh, yeah, Killer
Back when
7 is
Capcom
just
cared.
so confusing. That game is so confusing, but it's so amazing. Like, I haven't played it in a couple years, but the thing about that game was, like, I had this little shelf of GameCube games, and that was one of the games that I was never allowed to touch, along with True Crime Streets of LA. And it would be like 4 in the morning, and my brother wasn't even supposed to play it either, but I would like wake up on the top bunk, I would wake up and see like my brother on our little CRT TV, playing like Killer 7, or playing like True Crime Streets of LA, and I would just watch. I would just sit there and watch, and he wouldn't know I was awake, but like he'd be having this blast, killing all these people, and I would think it was like the greatest thing ever. And sometimes when he was allowed to play the games, I would like hide under the bed, and he would just be playing these games, these ultra-violent games, and I'd just have a great time watching. But it's kind of how I got into Let's Plays, because I have this hard mindset to watch people play games. But yeah, so Killer 7 was one of those like scary games that was like bad to play, and I was never supposed to ever play it. But one day, I finally picked up the game, and I was like, okay, I'm mature enough for this now, and I played it, and I was just completely floored by it. I had never played anything like that. It was so confusing, so hard, but I thought it was amazing, just like all of Suda51's other games. It's a complete masterpiece. 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the Quentin Tarantino of video games, I guess.
Yes, if anybody needs to like dub one game as the Citizen Kane of gaming, it would probably have to be like one of Suda51's games. Actually, now I'm just imagining this. What if Quentin Tarantino remade Citizen Kane? That would be weird. Even though he doesn't do sequels or remasters, but that would be weird.
Yeah.
Actually, this makes me want to watch Kill Bill now.
Uh-huh. You just imagine, like, I haven't seen that movie in a long time, so I can't really, like, pin a reference down aside from Rosebud that would be, like, Tarantino. Like, I guess he grabs the snow globe and bashes some guy's head in with it. I don't know.
I'm just thinking back to like that weird anime sequence in I think it was Kill Bill. Like there's a weird anime sequence in it. Yeah.
Anime sequence.
Yeah, somebody's just got to Google that.
Yeah, it was
Kill Bill
first one.
Anime sequence. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put it in there. Don't worry.
But let's see. I can't think of anything else to say about the internet even though I have tons and tons of things to say about it, I just can't think of anything else. What about, like, Bandcamp and streaming music and stuff on there?
Oh, yeah. I remember, back in the day before all that, we had LimeWire. You wouldn't know if you would get a virus or the actual song you're looking for.
Yeah, LimeWire is
You got
far
both.
before my time, but I've heard stories.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a train wreck, because you would just download these files and they would either have like Trojans on there or like adware, or they would just be adware disguised as like whatever you're looking for. Yeah, there was a lot of porn on there, and you could just like find it.
Wow. And I mean, with torrenting now, it seems like it's more like safe. Like, there's more moderation in what gets put on torrenting, or at least like with the Pirate Bay, I feel like it's more of like a safe deal. Like, you know what you're getting, or if you get something bad, it's like your AVG or whatever will just fix it right away. And with LimeWire, from what I've heard, it's much more of like a Wild West. Like, it's not at all as mainstream, where you can just get anything easily and safely. It's much more like a Wild West kind of thing where you don't know what you're getting, right?
It's like, yeah, it's like bobbing for apples, but all the apples are hand grenades.
I know, didn't System of a Down have like a bunch of songs that were just leaked?
Yeah, a lot of those bands back then had a lot of stuff just leaked out there, like Linkin Park. I remember getting a lot of their songs on there.
Yeah, and I know it got so bad with the songs that were leaked from System of a Down that people were just making straight up trolling. They were just straight up trolling songs with like people who sounded similar to System of a Down but weren't really. And then like they finally just released. Yeah. And then they finally just released this album called Steal This Album, where it was just all the music that was being taken through LimeWire.
Yeah.
But actually, that's another topic, torrenting, because that's a weird situation when you first start torrenting. Like, when I first started, I thought I was doing this really, really bad thing. Of course, it is bad, but it's like, if you torrent an album that you weren't going to buy, you're not really taking any money from the person. So, I mean, it is stealing if you're like, well, I was going to go out and buy this album later, but you torrent it anyway. I always try to make the effort that if I have the money, I'll buy the item anyway. But with like anime and stuff, a lot of those are like only on VHS exclusively, or the DVDs aren't even new anymore, so they're not giving any money to the people, or they're not on streaming services, or there's only like a weird fan sub of them. So it's like torrenting anime is basically essential because it's so hard to get. And as an anime fan, like, that was scary for me at first. Because when I first got into torrenting to get like programs and games and stuff, I felt like I was doing something really, really bad. But now I think it's so mainstream that just everybody does it.
Yeah, even a lot of famous YouTubers did it for a while. Like, I remember Chugga A. Conroy back with the whole Mother 3 thing, and it wasn't like officially released, so they had to just use ROMs and emulators and had to patch the game just to play it. And I'm not sure if YouTube was ever up in arms about all that, but it was a big deal. Thankfully, that game's out now, so we don't really have to do that kind of stuff a lot unless it's like just like really obscure stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
like stuff that would cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. I mean, with YouTube, they're kind of lenient on illegal content, or at least they were back then, because I mean, there are videos still up of, like, people buying drugs over the internet, or people, like, showing you how to buy drugs over the internet. Because when I was making this research paper, about, like, people who sell drugs or whatever, like, with using new media to sell drugs, basically. Because it was right after I saw the movie, Dope. And I saw the movie Dope, and I was like, wow, this black kid or whatever, I'm sorry to classify him as like, wow, this black kid is the only thing he is.
I'm not one of those people. No, it's fine. I get it.
But,
I'm not one of those
like,
who just gets offended by everything.
Yeah, I wasn't, whatever. Anyway, like, he was in, like, a tough neighborhood or whatever, so he was, like, selling drugs over, like, Bitcoin and stuff, and right after I saw this movie, I was like, I have to do a research paper about this. So I go on YouTube. That's the best place to go to do your research paper, kids. So I go on YouTube, and I look up Bitcoin drugs. I see all these videos of just, like, how to buy drugs over the internet and stuff like that. I was like, what? You can do this on YouTube? I was just looking for, like, some analytical content about it, like telling you the history. There are legitimate tutorials and videos of people buying drugs on there. It's like, how is this possible? How is this on here? So, I did the research paper after going through all of these videos, and it was terrible. It's one of the worst things I've ever written, but you can probably find it on my Tumblr page. If you go on there, just go to the old posts, and, like, you'll find the drug research paper, and it's absolutely terrible.
Oh, wow. And then we finally got some dirt on you. Which isn't really that bad compared to my stuff, but...
Yeah, I mean, really all I did was just watch content that was uploaded to YouTube. It's like, well, okay, what exactly am I doing here that's wrong? But with you, it's like, I'm not trying to say bad things about you, or that it's just all in the past or whatever, but, like, it's like, oh, you joined this furry website? It's like, I don't know. But, I don't know. Now I'm just rambling. It's the rude rambles of a madman.
Yeah. We're all a little mad. It's no big deal.
But, yeah, I'm just trying to, it's like you say all these things that are like, whoa, this is some real dirt right here. Well, I gotta one-up him. I gotta give the next dirt that would be, like, right, like, not like middle tier, but top tier. Like, I gotta give all the dirt so I can just best this guy with how much embarrassing stories I can tell.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You're, like, really young, so you haven't really had that time to, like, just make just dumb mistakes. And you're a smart kid, too, so you probably won't make as many as I did.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
No problem. Just keep being smart. I don't know what was wrong with me. I guess this goes back to me being a black kid who sounds white, acts white, likes games, anime, and back before it was mainstream to do that. And I don't know, maybe I saw the community of the furry fandom as just this way to, like, escape that. It just sounds really cringy now. Like, I reject my humanity, so I would become a animal dog horseman.
Yeah, and I mean, if that actually goes back to the movie I mentioned earlier, the movie Dope. If you haven't seen that, it's basically exactly like that. It's about, like, a nerdy black guy who does all these, like, white people things, and so he's, like, a really, like, big outcast in school, and he's in a bad neighborhood.
Oh yeah, I think I heard
about
about
he goes,
that. Dope. I was like,
yeah,
that sounds familiar.
It's a great movie, but
yeah, I'll just check it out.
It's pretty funny. Yeah, it's pretty funny, but it also has, like, some really cool directing, and it made me think a little bit. It's good stuff. It's one of my favorite movies of whatever year that came out. It was recent. I remember it being recent.
Yeah, I think I saw some commercials for it. This kid with like a flat top.
Yeah, he had like this big afro that like just goes up or something.
Yeah, it's called a flat top.
Yeah. I'm not very up on my hair knowledge. If you couldn't tell by like the way I look in my videos, like my hair is very like
it's like
untrimmed.
90s stuff though.
Yeah. But still, it's like I don't have any fashion sensibility because I just don't care about that. If I can wear the clothes that make me clothed and I like them, and if I can just have my hair to where it's not gross and I can tolerate it, it's like I don't care how it looks. Just if other people have a problem with it, they're dumb and I can laugh at them. But you know, I just really don't understand how people get so offended by the way other people dress. It's like, that's none of your business. It's the way they're dressing. Get over it.
Yeah. It's just that human tribalism, I guess. People just want to be part of the group.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, with cliques, as long, I'm fine with people joining a clique even though, like, I don't understand them and I've never really been part of them. But if you join like your little tribe of people who are the same as you, as long as you acknowledge that people are different and you're not like an arrogant egotist about how other people live their lives, then it really isn't a problem. I mean, you know, there's nothing wrong with being around people who are similar to you. It can foster conversation about the things that all of you care about. I'm not going to say like little confrontation, but just not as much people like getting mad at each other and stuff. But you still have to accept that other people do think differently, and that's the part where a lot of people go wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't have very much else to say about the internet because I think we pretty much covered a lot of it other than like YouTube and blogging, which, I mean, I think I'm the one who has the most things to say about that, and I've already just trolled this entire podcast with my long-windedness.
Yeah, we kind of exhausted that in a previous podcast, I guess.
Yeah.
YouTube used to be awesome, now it sucks.
Yeah, I mean, with that recent thing that they're doing, like, oh, here's a trending topic to get us views. With that recent thing they're doing with, I only see, like, 10 channels that show up in my subscriptions feed. Even channels that I watch every single day, they don't even show up in my subscriptions feed. And I know because I looked on my email and it said like, oh, Digibro just uploaded a video. And then I go in my subscription feed and it's not there. And it's like, what the heck, man? And I mean, they do it to a lot of like smaller channels too, not just like the bigger ones. Because my friend BioPhoenix, he uploaded a review today for Go-Go Hypergrind, and it wasn't even in there. But it was because I'm friends with him on Facebook that was the only way I saw it. So the system is broken. They're just promoting all these like talk shows and prank channels because that's what gives them money.
Yeah, it's starting to just become like what happened with old media like TV. It's just they're... Oh, yeah, Blip was kind of like that, too. They were just kind of, it was very commercialized from what I've read about it. And they just didn't really allow the little guys to kind of succeed. And I guess a lot of, it was a system of majority and minority. The majority were just like the average uploader. They're just doing it for fun or a hobby or something like that, and then you have all these like big companies who are just like throwing money at them. But I guess over time they those big companies just started migrating to YouTube, and they Blip slowly lost a lot of their revenue, and they just couldn't really stay afloat.
Yeah, I mean they basically went the way of E-Bomb's World, but without all.
And
of
hopefully
the,
it doesn't happen to YouTube, but.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think YouTube will go away anytime soon, and I definitely don't want them to because there's so much content. There's so much content on here, and as bad as they are to their creators, like, I wouldn't want to see this go away because it's like a video archive, pretty much. Like, all these old commercials and stuff, it's pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
But, actually, that reminds me of E-Bombs World. That was a weird website.
Yeah, I don't know where I found out about that. I think, I was like in study hall one time in high school, and someone like brought up like the Ding Fries Are Done song. It was like this Burger King guy. It was like a still image of a Burger King cashier, and he was just like singing about fries being finished, and it was like to the melody of Silver Bells, that Christmas song. Or not Silver Bells, was it? I don't know, something about bells and fries. It's such a long time, I can't remember accurately.
Yeah, that is pretty weird. I mean, like, internet was so new at the time that E-Bombs World could pretty much just go and steal anything. So they'd go on, like, Newgrounds and all these websites, because back then, like, the internet wasn't so, I don't want to say serialized, because that wouldn't make any sense. It's not so put together. Like, you'd have to go to
it's not
hundreds and hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have to go to hundreds and hundreds of different websites just to find certain things. As I mean, there was Newgrounds for all the animation. Then there was 4chan for all the just, like, weird out there stuff. And, then there were just hundreds and hundreds of forums, and everybody had websites. E-Bombs World just took everything from all of the websites and then put it there and made money off of it and put their little stupid E-Bombs World logo on it and stuff, and it's pretty gay.
Yeah.
But actually,
I remember
nowadays,
just on YouTube.
Oh, go on.
I was just reminiscing about how YouTube, you just find anything on there. But now it's like, it's so predetermined, like what they want you to see on there.
Yeah, it's like it's like the enemy of net neutrality, or whatever that is called, which is like net neutrality is basically the bill that was put in place to go against corporations from, like, keeping you from seeing things on the internet. Because if you follow the news, the Internet Archive is moving its entire storage collection to Canada because they think it's in danger in the U.S. because the policies that President Trump is trying to put in way. But, like, basically what net neutrality is just trying to keep all of these corporations from censoring the internet and to keep them from, like, keeping you from seeing certain things. But I feel like that's exactly what YouTube has been doing by, like, not giving money to, like, people who make offensive content and stuff, or, like, giving power to just everybody to mass flag videos.
Yeah, it's just like I said, it's just becoming like old media, but it's too big to fail though, so it won't ever, like, truly die out. And you'll still find good content. You just gotta look hard.
Well, the thing is that I think that the internet, Netflix, and things like that are just gonna topple over all of TV, all of the radio, and things like that. But whether or not YouTube itself does is another story. YouTube could easily die out, and the internet would still be there. There'd be a different site that rises up and everybody uses, which would kind of suck because all of the content is here on YouTube, and not everybody can just archive all of it. But I really think that internet video will take over.
Mm-hmm. We just kind of have to worry about the same thing happening again to the next site.
Yeah. But what I think I want to end this off on is, what is your favorite thing about the internet?
Favorite thing about the internet? It's a hard thing to answer. I would have to say this is going to sound corny, but freedom, just the unity of just having all these different people kind of, with different opinions, political, religious views, they could just come together and have some sort of a discussion, even if it's not really productive, and it just kind of boils down to ad hominems, but it can still having that ability is something that's just really unprecedented, especially in the past, 50, 60 years.
Yeah. I mean, especially with, all the censorship that runs rampant and stuff. I mean, if you go to China, they censor people over there all the time by, keeping you from watching certain shows and stuff, which makes sense because it's a communist country. And, basically, if you don't know what communism is, it's like the government owns everything.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's like, over there, they can just censor whoever they want because they're freaking commies. But, it's the internet and, I guess a browser like Tor, which makes it to where you're anonymous no matter what IP address you have. Basically just hides your IP address so you can't tell what country you're in. But, just with the whole internet, freedom probably is the best thing about it. Freedom to just say and do whatever you want, or maybe not do whatever you want, like illegal stuff.
Yeah, let's not go that far.
Yeah, that's a little bit
within
too,
reason, I guess.
Libertarian for me.
Yeah,
but yeah,
within reason.
Yeah, but yeah, you're free to just talk to whoever you want, and I mean, you and I are literally having a podcast talking about freedom on the internet while talking on the internet, which is free. You just put anything you want on here. I mean, if I made an entire, crappy album of scratchy music in a day, I could put that on Pure Volume or Bandcamp or something. Nobody would care. I can go on Deviant Art and post my crappy art anywhere. And, I mean, TV wouldn't let me do that. I can't just walk into a TV station and say, hey, broadcast my animation. But on Newgrounds, I can post anything I want. It's amazing. It gives so much freedom to artists. It gives so much freedom to people. And it's great. It's probably... to put a big spin on all of it, I think it's one of the greatest things to happen to the human race. And one of the greatest... if not the greatest advance in technology, that we have the internet where we can just do whatever we want within reason, and where somebody like you and I can just talk. We can just talk about whatever we want. And the fact that I've made so many friends over the internet is just a testament to how powerful it really is.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Well,
it's a...
I was just going to think of a question.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Just one more thing
By
before we call this a day or a night. Oh, jeez. It's going to sound so weird asking a kid this, but I don't know. What kind of women do you like? Do you like them thick?
Now that is the true freedom that we all want. Internet dating.
Yeah, it's the internet, baby.
It's the... Just go to any porn site.
I'm just messing with you. You don't have to answer.
Yeah. But, to offer a rebuttal, no, now I forgot what joke I was going to make. I ruined this whole podcast by forgetting my terrible joke. But I guess you can do that on the internet.
Okay, well, yeah. Is this the end, my friend?
Is this the end of the podcast?
Okay, well.
Oh, I was Jim. No, we're not going to do that. But, yeah, I mean,
No.
The only other thing I could say is that, the power of the internet has given us Chris Chan and has given us, otaku culture and stuff, and has since ruined many of our lives, and I think that's great. But, Yeah. Any final thoughts? Or link your stuff or whatever?
Yeah, Dee Zee Dog, YouTube, Twitter. Not going to link my Fur Affinity page. You're going to have to find that yourself.
Commenters, find his Fur Affinity page. I don't care how long you have to look. Just do it instead of me.
Yeah, you can post whatever. I'm probably not going to reply, because I've abandoned that way of life.
Your Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter is just Danzig. It's my Deviant Art.
Actually, I have to ask, are you a fan of the Danzig? Because he's one of my favorite music people.
Yes, that's actually one of the reasons behind my namesake. I got big into like 80s, 70s metal.
Oh, yeah, actually, the internet is the reason why I got it so big into metal, but I remember when my dad had used to, like, play his Danzig CD when in the car and stuff, because I had never heard any music like that. Like, I heard Black Sabbath on the radio, and I loved it, and Ozzy Osbourne and all the mainstream stuff. But once I heard him, like, playing Danzig, I was like, wow, what is this? I gotta hear more of this. This is amazing. And so years and years later, when I found out a bit about things like Encyclopedia Metalum and like forums and stuff, I just found all of these great bands, and I got so big into metal, and now I've listened to literally thousands of bands because of the power of the internet, and that's why I'm such a huge like metalhead and know all of this stuff. Like, that's an entire separate podcast just talking about metal and the history of metal and like because I know all these things because I just sit and read about it all the time. But yeah, his voice though, the stuff that he did with the Misfits and his solo career, like his voice is amazing and the instrumentation is amazing and it's so perfect. It's great.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah. YouTube, Dee Zee Dog, Twitter, Danzig, same as my Deviant Art. Not gonna keep my Fur Affinity. I want you to find that. But actually, speaking of that, there was actually my friend, like right when I left, because I left like pretty recently. He gave me a little going away gift. It was a pic of my character, the horse dog thing, with having relations with my GF, so that was fun. I was like, what? Why would you do this?
If anything, that is the best going away gift you can get from a place like that. That just encompasses everything about that site, doesn't it?
Yeah, he just gave me this like picture. He just sent me this link, and I was like, what? Why? Just why? Thankfully, he didn't like posted it anywhere else, so you probably won't be able to find it anyway. Okay, I think that's enough.
Yeah, if
it's enough internet for you, young man.
Yeah, if you want to find, well, I can just Google anything, so I don't need some old man to tell me. But yeah, if you want to find my stuff, my Twitter is Outlaw Harvest LR, which is just me constantly posting like very opinionated and sometimes incredibly offensive things that I will probably regret the day after, but then feel incredibly happy because of it. And then my Tumblr, where I just post like articles and stuff, because I write all the time, so like I just regurgitate all of that onto like my Tumblr and my blog. You can go to my Outlaws Graveyard Shift channel, which is criminally underrated because I love that channel and nobody ever watches it. It may sound narcissistic to say that about my own work, but I actually really like those videos, and that's good. Because if you're an artist, you should eventually end up liking your own work. 'Cause if you can't watch it, then probably not many other people will. But yeah, my Graveyard Shift channel, I just post constant like vlogs and Let's Play videos and just random stuff. You can go on my Production Outlaw channel. I've posted like some animation over there, like very short test animations not like 1 second long for each of them, because I was just practicing and having fun. And then it's just like unused footage that I had that was taking up space on my computer. I guess I'll link to my new Deviant Art, my Reddit page. If you want to join the subreddit and just give me suggestions or whatever. There's my personal Facebook in the description if you just want to friend me on there or talk or whatever. It's probably dangerous to do that, but I don't care because I'll block you anyway. Actually, I see all this time these like porn bots on Facebook that are just so obviously not even real women. It's like, yeah, I'm not friending you. They just see like, oh, it's this little blimey otaku kid. He's gonna give us all of his parents' money. It's like, ha ha, good one. But let's see. I guess that's it. That's all of my stuff. I have way too much social media accounts because I'm on the internet way too much.
And I have,
yeah.
And I have none. I'm on the internet too much. Okay, well, it's good talking with you again.
Yeah, it was great talking with you. You're a cool dude. If you ever want to be on the podcast again, I'd be happy to have you on because these conversations are always so fun.
Thanks. I like to try to be as interesting as possible, even though I don't really consider myself that interesting. We definitely need to have, like, I guess, more people next time because that would be just crazy.
Oh yeah, I mean, I haven't met very many like YouTube people. I've met like very few of them, or if I do, they're just like not somebody I want to talk to, or like rude or something, or like I'm not good at like meeting YouTube people at all, or just people like where it clicks. So I don't know if I can figure out like a good guest for next time, and if you want to join in, I would definitely be happy with that. Be fun.
Yeah, okay. All
right.
Yeah, until next time.
Until next time, I'll see you all. Bye.